my whole body shut down. I had blackouts during the whole relationship.
What Jess helped me to realize, it's never really the other person's fault. It's you. It's how you view yourself.
I had to go through that to reset. It was literally my rebirth. Consciousness is something we think we have. We think that we have consciousness because we're eating or walking or going to the gym. That's not consciousness. Living in full consciousness is actually understanding that you are responsible for every single breath you take.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Airbnb Nomads podcast. And on this property education masterclass, we're joined by one of the most amazing souls I'm lucky enough to have in my life, Jess Olsen Zabel. Now, Jess is going to be really honest with us about her very abusive upbringing and some of the toxic situations that came off the back of that abuse, to then moving through her incredibly successful property career to where she is today, starting a brand new neuro-linguistic program which could potentially change millions of people's lives. There is so much inspiration here, guys, and I urge you to listen to the whole thing and then go right back to the beginning and listen to it all again, because it could potentially change your life. Now, guys, on that topic, if you do get value from this episode, if it does inspire you to change your life and become the best person you possibly can, I would ask you please to go and follow the show, leave a review. It helps us more than I could possibly say. Until that time comes, grab a cuppa, get comfortable. This is an amazing episode I feel so fortunate to share with you. Here we go. Enjoy. Jess, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this one. Jess is a, long-time personal friend, right?
Yes.
We've had a lot of laughs. We've had a lot of good conversation. And I'll say right now at the beginning, you are one of the most beautiful souls that I know. You're well known, throughout the communities for all the amazing work that you do. And, we'll get into that. It's my job to try and pack your life, which has, been so full.
Colourful.
And very colourful into this, hour-long episode. I'm going to do my best. You've been very candid, Jess, and very open and very vulnerable with some of the experiences that you've been through in your past.
Correct, yeah.
I'd like, if it's okay with you, to start there, because I think in this world, we know that there's a lot of mental health, there's a lot of struggles. People are really feeling it at the moment. We're getting better with talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is something that you're amazing at. And I think, I've seen your posts, you've gone into graphic detail about where you was. Mm-hmm. And so many people have come back and said, wow, incredible from that to where you are today, showed such a contrast. And also a lot of people can resonate with being where you were, right? Yeah. So if it's okay with you, and I think the listeners and viewers would love to hear a little bit about what it was that you went through, some of the triggers that led you there, and kind of when it was, and just tell us a little bit about, if it's okay to dig a little bit deep into that massively sensitive, hard part of your life.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me.
You're
here,
welcome.
First of all.
I'm excited.
I love you.
I love you too.
So we have to go back a little bit in life, and first start with saying I had quite some trauma as a child. I was sexually abused, but also had one rape in my teenage years, and I had attempted rape for another round in my teenage years. So quite a bit of heavy trauma right in the beginning of my life, and also went straight into a very abusive relationship as my first love. And a lot of heartbreak, so to speak, because I loved this guy. So that was my start, and the pattern sort of continued. Even if I kept on healing and getting better and better, I tended to go in the pattern that I knew, because I came from emotional and sort of heavy trauma in my family as well, where it was a lot of dysfunction, so to speak. And I don't blame my parents. They were beautiful people. They just didn't know better. So it wasn't really their fault what was going on. They were just riding out their traumas in general. So fast forwarding to a point where my mother had died in cancer, and I just decided to heal. So that was my beginning of my journey, really, and that was in my early 30s, really. And I was very emotionally intelligent already. I've always been very emotionally intelligent. I understand people to a very, very deep degree. So I healed a lot in my 30s and loved life. I always loved life, actually. Even through hard times, I always loved life. And that has been my joy. I have been full of joy since I was a child.
That's why so many people love you today, because you put off this energy, this love, this love for life.
Yeah.
You know, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Jess, can I just jump in and say, the relationship that you was in, that was toxic, that obviously I know a little bit about. Can you just spend just a minute or two just talking about some of the traits or some of the experiences that you had within that relationship? Because, I've had this conversation quite a lot recently with people about how restrictive it is, not just in business, I'm talking about life, in general happiness, right? How restrictive it is to be in a negative relationship, but you get trapped, right? And it all comes from experiences that maybe are leading up to that point that you've had with your upbringing, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, not feeling worthy, right? And then you end up in this toxic narcissistic kind of situation. So can you tell us a little bit about what that was like and how you managed to find the strength to move on?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a second abusive relationship. So I know that's the one you're talking about, Alex. So after this healing I did, I actually went into yet another abusive relationship, and it was the worst one so far. And it was incredibly, incredibly hard, right? There was a lot of emotional and bullying, emotional abuse, terrible mental abuse, and the stories are long and very gruesome what happened. Although what happened during that time is that I had another child with this person. And when my child was 10 months old, I knew I had to get out. I knew for literally the whole relationship. I knew before we had the child, but I didn't want to do an abortion. So I started working from that moment onwards to find my way to get out. It took me 6 years to get to that point, but I did. And I started really, really, really thriving at the same time as I broke down. My whole body shut down. I had blackouts during the whole relationship, and I had blackouts after the relationship. Sometimes 10, 15 blackouts a day. I was in a very, very sad state. And I also started having seizures after we had broken up because the abuse didn't stop. It just kept on going. He actually got worse after we broke up almost, just to sort of really kill me off, so to speak, because he didn't want me to have a good life.
I don't think that people who are fortunate enough to have experienced anything like that or any, serious anxiety or depression or mental illness understands the physical side of what that stress can bring.
Yeah, it's terrible.
People think it's all mental and, you can just kind of toughen up and push through it. But when you're in that place of anxiety and darkness and depression, the physical symptoms it can bring on. And I've seen those video clips, and a lot of people, in the socials that are connected to you, you've been, confident and strong and, enough to share that stuff. And it's incredibly hard to watch. Yeah. But that, to think that those episodes were brought on from being broken down by someone who supposedly loved you is almost hard to imagine.
It is very hard to imagine, but what I would say to that and to the listeners is that I had to go through that to reset.
Right.
It was literally my rebirth. So having those seizures and actually realizing that I was the cause of what was going on in my body. I was holding on to so much anger and so much old stuff sat in my body, that my emotions were trapped in my body. My trauma was trapped in my body. And the only one that could cure that was me.
And we've spoken a lot about this. And Jess has been an incredible mentor for me, going through hard times in relationships. And what Jess helped me to realize, and it's a work in progress, right? Every single day. It's never really the other person's fault.
Yeah.
It's you. It's how you view yourself.
Yeah.
And someone said to me something years ago, someone that was very, enlightened like yourself, Jess, said to me, anybody that you meet in your life, who you choose to bring into your life, should purely only ever complement your existing happiness, right? You should already be happy, fulfilled, confident,
Amen.
inside, powerful, right? And anyone you allow in should only ever make it better.
Yeah.
The minute that they start pulling you down, it's like, okay, we need to reevaluate.
Yeah, but there we come to communication too. Because when we are in self-love, when we learn to love self first and then go into a healthy relationship, we wouldn't allow to take it that far as you do as a dysfunctional or diseased person, Because when we live in dis-ease with our bodies, most of us, or I would say all of us, will go into more dis-ease and dysfunction because that's what we're used to.
If you love to travel like me and you understand the power in escaping the money for time exchange trap, but you just don't know how to do it, then building an Airbnb consultancy business could be exactly what you have been looking for. Right now in the UK, there is a completely untapped opportunity through helping struggling Airbnb hosts by turning around their underperforming properties and generating you huge commission payments in the process. We are going to teach you all of the tools and all of the techniques that we've learned over the last 5 years through building our very own multiple six-figure Airbnb business, arming you with everything that you need to swoop in and save the day. Minimal startup costs, zero risk, and almost unlimited potential. Sound good? Welcome to the Airbnb Consultant. Contact us through any of the channels included in the studio notes to get the conversation started. So what would you tell someone, because I know that people might be listening saying, yeah, I get that. I'm not 100% happy. This person that I chose to be with isn't making me my best self, but we're committed. We've got the house, we've got the mortgage, we've got the kids, we've got the worries, the stress, the debt, the commitments. How do you change that, even when you have that realization? If the other partner just doesn't want to put in the work, what would you recommend that you would do?
So first of all, we have to realize it's not the other person that needs to put in the work. It's ourselves. Always ourselves.
Always pushing it back on us.
It's a mirror thing. So when we are disappointed with partners, or even if we don't have a partner, if it's a single person that has decided to be single, or unfortunate situation and we are single, is that we have to reflect on ourselves. Look ourselves in the mirror and say, what can I do to enhance myself?
You're like, I love you so much, but sometimes I'm much better now. But when I was going through a hard time, I was leaning on Jess quite heavily. And I'd send her these long voice notes and I'd be like...
19-minute ones.
I'd be like, Jess, this person said this and did that and didn't do this and didn't do that and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I'd send it off and I'd get back a message from Jess like, you got to look at you. This is you. This is your fault.
Yeah.
You're allowing this. I'm like, God damn it. She's right. But it's so true. You've always got to look in the mirror and say, these are my choices. I'm creating this stuff in my universe.
Even the drama and the chaos that we live with, it's our making, because it can only be fueled by your energy in it.
Yeah.
So it's actually, when I speak a lot about forgiveness, as you know, and it's not actually forgiveness of the people so much that have done the stuff to you or the ones that have messed you about. It's actually about the forgiveness within yourself. It's really how we come to terms with being our own lovers. Whether we are in a relationship or not, it doesn't actually matter so much. When you can feel the love for you, so you work on yourself, either that husband or wife, if you're married, will see that you are changing and they want what you have because you're oozing a different energy, right? Yeah. And it's impossible. Anyone that is in the field of you, i.e. within 9 meters of you, will feel your energy.
And I've never experienced that until I met you, really, because I think very few people have got to a place in life where you are spiritually. But you have, and you know this, right? I'm not bigging you up. People tell you this all the time, and you know of it, and this is what you're teaching and sharing and spreading throughout the world. When you enter a room, there's an aura around you, right? You put off a certain kind of energy, and that's a very attractive energy. That vibration, it brings people into your good people, attracts those people, and then off the back of that, everything else starts to click. Good people, opportunities in business, in life, in happiness, travels, whatever. So completely buy into it. But I think it's also at the same time, it's so alien to so many people. Right now in life, so many people, it's just about getting up, getting through the fucking day, right? Yeah. And getting, keeping our heads above water and paying the bills and picking up the kids and making the dinner. And
that's not life, guys.
Right.
That's survival.
That's survival. It's an existence. But, I feel a little bit kind of, I don't want to sit here and preach too much, because it is the reality. Everyone has the opportunity to change it, but that is the immediate reality for the majority of people. So I think it's changing slowly, right? There's been a growth through social media.
There's a lot of more light on this planet.
Right. There's a lot of people now who are tuning in, doing the meditations, doing the journaling, taking some time for themselves in the morning, putting in these daily practices.
And social media is full of it.
Right.
Of help, isn't there? And there is a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of courses and so on and so on. And I also feel that consciousness is something we think we have, We think that we have consciousness because we're eating or walking or going to the gym. That's not consciousness. Consciousness, living in full consciousness, is actually understanding that you are responsible for every single breath you take. That is consciousness, to understand that the food that you're putting into your body is fueling whoever you are and who you want to be, and what you think, what you feel, how you store your emotions in your body. That's all you. That's consciousness. Consciously, we have to decide on taking in news, for example, and sit and listen to the negativity around the world, or we can choose to be the light and become the light and be love ourselves, because we can't have what we don't have ourselves. So when we live in fear, we receive fear. If we live in scarcity, we get scarcity.
And I think with what you're talking about, it's the foundations of everything. And unfortunately, for most people, this stuff takes a massive backseat. Right, it's like, got to make the money, get the career.
I was there too.
Right.
I was there too. That's exactly what I did. I went straight into going, I'm going to show the beep,
You can swear.
And I'm just going to go ahead and show him that I can take care of myself, right? I have always been a very hard worker. That was part of my trauma, I was a workaholic. So I always worked way above what I needed to work, because that was my way of feeling worthy, right? I couldn't sit still and I had to work hard. So I went out and I trained to be doing property investments and so on. And I was an interior designer before that and worked extensively with that and with property maintenance.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit more. Obviously, a lot of the people listening to this, like I said at the beginning, trying to pack all this into a short podcast episode is difficult. I'd love to spend the whole time talking about the emotional side of where you're at and what you do and teach and spread, because it's incredible. But let's get a little bit into the property side of it. So, what was the immediate healing? How did you get out of that stage, basically, to say, okay, I'm gonna 10x my life here and go off by myself?
Well, as you know, I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
So that was my first help, because that can be annoying. Yeah. But it's also my savior that I'm so stubborn. So, and I'm very sort of racehorsey, or was. My old version was very racehorsey. So I was literally like this. I am going to heal, and I am going to do this. You love
that analogy. You're always sending me
the racehorse analogy.
You do the clip clop sound as well when you're talking about it.
So literally, that's how I went into property investment. I sat there at the course and I literally said to the guy in the front, I said, I'm going to do all this. Watch me. And I was there with a partner I was going out with at the time, and he was fuming afterwards. He's like, this is ridiculous. They're bigging all this up, and this is crap. And, you know, don't go into all this stupid American shit, you know. And I'm like, I'm doing this. So we broke up, funnily enough.
You're like, I'm going this way. Come with me or see you later.
I'm the racehorse. I'm going this way, right? So I literally just went ahead and I built my portfolio very quickly. And with my interior design, I got bigger and bigger interior design projects as well, you know, because I was in the investment world and with developers and so on. So I grew both of those businesses at the same time, full time, both. So
yeah, I know how much stuff you've done and how many projects. I mean, you know, I've been over to Jess's place before in London, and you walk in and it's just like there's 100 million mood boards scattered everywhere. There's mortgage application documents. There's accountancy packs. So, and you chose to go down the high-end route, didn't you? You went into the super high-end model.
Yeah, so it's service accommodation, high luxury sort of boutique places and so on. Yeah, and that's what I've helped my clients as well, you know, is boutique service accommodation. So that's my sort of speciality. Yeah,
and you do amazing with it. Did you already have just like obviously you've got a natural flair for it. Did you go to school for design?
Actually. Yeah, I did study furniture and interior design, really, and art before that. So I sort of had that in my back pocket. I started design work in my late 20s, really, and then have just done that ever since. Even when I got into other things, it's still in the back. Yeah. Running sort of thing, right? Yeah. So that's what I did. And during this road of property investment and so on, and meeting all these people, and actually being heavily involved in HighNet Connect, which you have been involved in as well with Liz Bateson and so on, that was my door into meeting a whole lot of spiritual people that I had never have had access to if it wasn't for HighNet Connect. And this just sparked everything that I know today, you know.
Because I know for so many years now, talking to you, I've seen you kind of moving through the property stages of your career, but there's always the caveat at the end of, well, I like property and property pays the bills, and you know I can create these amazing projects kind of one after another, but your real love has always been the soul work.
Yeah, and that's what we're coming into now, right? Because I had a plan. The racehorse had a plan, and that was 5 years with property investment. So I could build my platform, I could build my portfolio and so on, and be financially free. Yep. But what I always wanted to do is what I'm doing today, which is all around self-love and maximizing your time on this planet, how we can spread love and light rather than just being machines.
Yeah. And then attract that back into your life.
Yeah. And you know all about that because you are really on that route as well now.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, it's the foundation of everything. And, you know, I really do believe that when the people you're surrounding yourself by, you know, and the way that you're carrying yourself and the way that you're feeling and just simply waking up in the morning, from the minute you open your eyes, how your day begins. You know, you're going to wake up and spend 20 minutes scrolling through TikTok and then, you know, have egg and chips
even what you think about first thing when you open your eyes.
Yeah. It's all connected. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about property specific things. I know now you're kind of coming out of this stage of your life and you're getting into other things that we'll get into, which are super,
I have one
super
big
exciting.
project left, and I want to create a center. So that would be my development, and I will.
And that was
You hear me?
Yeah. It's going to happen.
I will.
But you've also been, you know, quite open about, you've had some incredible success in the property world. You've created some fantastic, very large projects, you know, all over the place for yourself, for clients, HMOs, serviced accommodation, all kinds of stuff. It hasn't always been smooth sailing though, is it? So
everyone in property knows it's not plain sailing.
Well, but yeah, of course, but very few are honest about it, right? Most people, it's like, oh, you know, making all this money.
Yeah, they make it all look shiny. It's not shiny.
Yeah, it's not shiny. It's a lot of hard work. What's some of the lessons that you've picked up over the years? What's some of the things that you look back on now with hindsight and go, I can kind of now see why that kind of went sideways a little bit?
First of all, due diligence. If you're a right brainer as I am, creative, we have a tendency to at times not do full on due diligence, and we trust heavily, in business partners and so on. So business partnership is the big one, is to not go in blinded by how great it can be rather than where you are. So again, that comes with healing. So when you heal, you see people for what they are, not what they can do for you or how great it can be in the future if it works. So that's my big learning, and that I suggest to other people too, to actually strip back your ego and thinking how great this can be if it works, and say, what is this person like now? What does my heart say about this person? To actually tune in and say, does it feel right? Or is it just the shiny pounds that sort of makes you go, I have to make this work,
I think as well, when it comes to doing JV partnerships in property, I think that a lot of people, through their own self-confidence issues, feel like they need to work with someone in order to, fill the gaps in their own knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a massive fan of collaborations and outsourcing stuff that you just can't do. We're both the same, right? When it comes like I said, we go to Jess's place and it's just like someone's taken 1,000 files of papers and just gone, and it's just like raining down. And I'm the exact same. Like, I'm not good with, spreadsheets, paperwork, taxes.
I can't even do an Excel sheet yet. Yes. I do it at the back of an envelope, even on my calculations, but I'm damn good at those calculations.
But you're damn good at those fag packet calculations, and you're even better at all of the visual stuff that those people are completely clueless in. Right? So I'm a big fan of that. But all I'm saying is make sure that, yes, okay, I need a numbers person, or yes, okay, I need a visual person.
Yeah.
But that person also needs to align with you, who you are, where you're going, make sure you're on the same page. I also
think it's very, very important with partnership that you look at each role. What are my roles? What is that person's roles? So you figure out, because if you're too similar, you're just buddies.
Yeah.
Stay buddies.
Yeah.
Don't go into partnerships.
Yeah.
Or JVs, because if you have the same skills, it's not going to work. A partnership or a JV is not actually being exactly the same. That's one thing I learned, because some of my old partners I love dearly, but they're crap at business.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
I just got to say it out straight, you know?
Yeah, and like we all know, you bring money into friendships as well, and things can go downhill real quick. So think hard about, because when you get into property, and once you start, if you're doing things right and you're putting yourself out there and you're having the conversations and you're telling everybody what you're doing, you probably will get people come to you, friends, family, people, I'd like to maybe get involved. They've got some money sitting in the bank. That's fine, but just be very, very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my forte, really, because I'm very good at raising money. So obviously I had a lot of people that wanted to do partnerships and JVs and things with me, because I had a very easy time to raise money, because it just came to me. Abundance is one thing that I had just automatically in that department.
Yeah, and that's obviously due to your fantastic people skills. But also, and we've spoken about this before, again, coming back to the foundations of it all, creating abundance within yourself and attracting that stuff.
Always believing that you can as well. And I'm a total believer that I can do anything. So therefore I have it within me. Yeah.
And you've been working with some overseas investors too, haven't you?
Yeah, quite extensively.
Yeah. And that makes complete sense. We had Jackie on the podcast recently, Jackie Tomes, who her whole business model has been working with investors, and this is a huge opportunity, for everybody in this game to realize. And I did a post about this the other day. You've got to realize and wake up when you're in property, when you're just getting started, that there are everybody's saying, well, I don't have the money. If you can find the deal, if you have the knowledge and the education and you're going out there and you're making shit happen, there is an endless queue of people out there with more money than you can imagine that have zero time.
I would like to say one thing to that one, though. I would say whoever is out there and they're starting out in property, be authentic.
100%.
Because the more authentic you are in your post, and not only post about property, because it's so damn boring. It's so boring.
I wish you was on our mentoring call last night. I was drilling this into our guys last night on the phone. 80% about you, 80% about your wins, your failures, your successes, your troubles, your challenges. Build the brand around you.
Even write and speak like you.
Yeah.
Don't be anyone that you are not, because you can't keep it up. It's very tiring.
It's so frigging boring when you open up, the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and it's just my mastermind, my retreat, I'll make you more money, I'm looking for sourcing, and it's like, come on.
It is extremely boring.
People just like,
they can't be bothered because they just think, oh, come on, who did you become suddenly? Because we all come from basic things, right? We come from something else and we started properties, right? So
it's a very simple thing for me, but for a lot of people, it isn't. And people do just go on there and bombard.
Yeah, but you are amazing with people as well, Alex. You are incredible with people and always have been. I
appreciate that. But I would say, guys, for those of you at home, if you're just starting out, please listen to what we're both saying. At least 80%, it's not an over-exaggeration, 80, 75, 80%, talk about you, talk about your why and your vision and how you want to help other people, right? Through your life and through your drive, your determination and your this new journey you're on. And once you start building up those connections and people start following you and becoming inspired and resonating with you and where you're going and why you're doing it, you can start dropping the little seeds of the business, right? Maybe looking for some money, maybe looking for some properties, whatever it is. And the phone will start ringing and those little messages will start dropping in. Yeah, people watching from the shadows. Absolutely. That maybe you don't realize.
So I'm a great believer in purpose. And as you know, throughout my whole property career, I pretty much coached people and I spoke about healing your heart and being tuned with you, and I spoke about spiritual things and literally self-discovery and so on. That was my big thing. And then I would drop in interior design and then occasional property or being on site and so on. But it was literally more or less more of self-development and part of the other two. And that's how I got my investors. Yeah. They were all interested in all that stuff, and they were all heartfelt people that wanted to change the world.
They bought into your vision.
Exactly.
They bought into who you are, genuinely, authentically you.
Fully and utterly. It was me. They didn't invest in my properties. They invested in me. And I raised, during the time, I came out of property last year. I don't know if it's forever. I'm definitely going to do the center, as I said, so that's going to be a big project.
You've got this, just one more project. The amount of times I've heard you say that.
Yes.
Just one more.
Yeah, just one more. But I came out last year, and by then I have raised millions just for the various projects, because for me it was easy. It was just money was never my problem.
It's a mindset thing. You've got to let go of this idea that money is so difficult to find.
It's not scarce.
Yeah, it's not scarce. Stop focusing on the money and focus on you and what you can offer and finding the deals that interest people. And then, put all that together and deliver it in a nice, authentic way, and shit will just start happening.
Yeah.
Can we talk as well, Jess, about a lot of your projects I know have been a little way away from where you're based in London. A lot of your stuff's like up north, right?
That's another little suggestion.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about that, about the pros and cons of
I can tell you all about
remote investing? Well, we've only got about 15 minutes before I want to get into some other stuff. So let's talk about that.
So I am a London-based person. I'm Swedish from the beginning, but I live in London and have done for 28 years. And I decided to invest in Yorkshire. So a very long way from home.
But for obvious reasons. great yields, great returns, lower property
very
prices.
good return up in Yorkshire because it's great for holiday lets, and a lot of people travel there during holidays and also for weddings and things like that, right? So it's fantastic for luxury holiday accommodation. A suggestion to people, they're going into property, don't invest that far from home. It is an absolute killer when you're trying to maintain your properties. You never visit them yourself. You never utilize your properties, which is a bit silly when you have a whole lot of holiday lets.
Beautiful homes, yeah.
And, even the HMOs, if there's little tiny things that needs repairing and so on, I can never go out and do it myself. I always have to pay someone to go and do little tiny things. And always heavily rely on management being good. And that is also incredibly hard to get good management.
Well, we had this conversation a few days ago, right, when I was in Spain and we was chatting on the phone. Because so many people say, I'm just going to, we're going to take that place on, a couple hundred miles away. And I'll say, well, how are you going to manage it? Well, I'm going to outsource the management. Yeah. And it's, we've got lots of stories about that, right? Yeah. It can go tits up real quick.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
And even with people that come highly recommended, that are very well established, that everybody says, use this person.
Absolutely. But, it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. And with management companies, a lot of them, it's the same with cleaning companies, right? As, you take on a cleaner, she's by herself, she's putting her life and soul into your property. Yeah. And you're like, this is the best cleaner ever. What's the problem? Everyone's saying you got these problems finding cleaners. But naturally they grow, they get bigger, they have to outsource, hire other people, right? And then they lose and then it all kind of falls out.
Or they get more comfortable with you. So suddenly it gets slacks and slacks. And also cleaners, they hire new cleaners. And sometimes it's not even the person that you hired in the first place. They have other cleaners to clean the place. And they forget about spot checking and so on. And then suddenly you have a nightmare cleaning scenario.
Yeah. So after all of the experiences, and I know that you have been to hell and back would be an understatement with some of the experiences you've had. Now, after all that, with hindsight, you would say that you now would never remotely invest again?
I would say, I'm not saying don't do it, but really heavily consider rather spend extra money and do it around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, because those gains can be made wherever you are in the country.
Yeah, let's face it. If you're going to pay a lot of money for management in elsewhere and you still have to do half of it yourself, what is the point, right?
Yeah. And it, again, it all comes back to this mindset over money about letting go of the fact that it's scarce. If you find, let's say, for example, an opportunity in London, which might be £1 million to buy, but also, you might be able to make £500,000.
But you also have capital asset, right? In the end.
Exactly.
So you're sitting on a gold mine, really.
It's all relative.
As soon as you're in the south. It doesn't even have to be London. I think if you're within a couple of hours, I think you're doing quite all right. Yeah. Being 5.5 hours or so away from your properties is not ideal.
Yeah, the amount of times you had planks of wood and cushions sticking out your sunroof and you're tearing up and down the motorway.
And also unreliable builders that tell you one thing and they've taken a picture of an area that has been finished or looks finished, and then you come up and it's not even close to completion and stuff like that. And this has even happened with a project manager in tow, right?
And these are the things, guys, if you are in the early stages of getting started in your property investment journey, and you go on lots of different courses, not going to name any specific providers, but there's a lot of people out there that just say, you can go anywhere in the country and just let's go where the biggest returns are, let's go. And that might work for them because they're established, they've got teams, they've got, setups and the processes, and they've been going a long time. But for you starting out... Yeah,
starting out is the big one, actually.
It's a very, very different situation.
Learn the ropes.
Learn the ropes. Stick close to home. I mean, we say... definitely for the serviced accommodation model, for peace of mind and to make your life as stress-free as possible, just stick within like 30 minutes, an hour max of where you are, because you will have to be charging out for, problems with guests, broken keys in the door in the middle of the night.
It's little things that will happen, and suddenly you have to still try to find that person on site. And what my experience is that I still have to solve these things because my management's throughout seems to somewhere along the line cut off. And I still get all the emails and things from various different booking sites and so on. So I would say, in general, stick with closer to home. Don't go so far away. And if you don't want to really spend a whole lot of time pulling your hair out.
Yeah. These are both wigs that we're wearing, by the way.
No. Yeah, and I am colouring my hair these days.
No, but Jess, in all seriousness, I just wanted to say to you, I've been in awe of for a long time. I've told you this, but when you've been handling multiple projects 4 or 5 hours away, you've got your kids, you got your place in London that you're maintaining. You know, you've got other business interests going on. Single mum, you know, she's cooking the dinner, she's taking the kids to school, then she's driving 5 hours to the job site and kicking builders' asses and dealing with mortgage applications and you know, everything. It's amazing. And it shows what can be done, like with your time, how productive you can be and how much we can really do with our days when you've got this like really... you know, solid vision.
But it's not healthy in the long run. So I want to say that as well, because it might sound like I'm a freaking hero. Yeah. I would say I wasn't really a hero being in all that stress. And that's what I realized last year is sort of like, no, this is not sustainable, what I was doing. It wasn't sustainable at all. I was burning big time. I was burning out. And I was very much in my masculine energy. Yeah. I was very focused on the doing.
Because you weren't sleeping either, were you?
No.
You don't sleep anyway, but...
No, I do. I do sleep my 6 hours a night now, so I'm very happy.
But I know back then when you was really, you know, going full bore, you was hardly sleeping. You was having insomnia issues and...
Yeah, well, I did my whole life, but that was also part of the healing, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get better and better with healing and you know, because you know I'm a heavy promoter of meditation and you know now these days I'm also a heavy promoter of neuroplasticity.
Yeah. Let's start heading in that direction. So when did you wrap up your last project? Or have you still got one open, haven't you?
I finished a block of flats end of last spring.
End of last spring.
That was the last one.
And I know for quite a while now you've been having discussions, you've been looking, I mean, lots of things have come your way. And, you know, some things, are in full swing. Other things might have taken a little bit of a back seat. But you now fully decided that you're going in a completely different direction. We haven't actually spoken a little bit before this podcast because I've been away and Jess has been so busy. But tell me about what's at the forefront now? What's going on in your life? What direction of business are you going in now? Because I know when I last spoke, you had this door open, that door open. You was looking at doing documentaries and your film crews and properties and this and that. And so what's the latest? Yeah,
so I will always keep doors open. Another one of my suggestions: never close doors, and also be open for whatever life brings you, and. That's exactly it. Stop chasing so much. So hence why I've stopped being a racehorse. I'm still very much of an achiever, but I let a lot of things unfold as it needs to unfold. So what has happened since last year is that I gave up property. I called it a sabbatical. The sabbatical is now becoming a bit longer because I said till May. So this year, May, I'm going to do a year out and then I'm going to come back. That's not going to happen. And I knew that already when I said it, but it felt better to say it that way. So what has happened is that last summer, because I really follow my intuition, right? My intuition said that I needed 3 months to really just be, to really come out and just really allow myself to have a proper break. So that's what I did. I finished a couple of really large design projects that summer. That was it. And no property, except obviously my maintenance and so on my own portfolio. But I met the right people. They came to me and I learned more around neuroscience and neuroplasticity and how we can actually remove trauma triggers from our childhood and we can change our own pattern through a program and so on. So I decided very early on after meeting Winfried Dorr to create a program with him. And another amazing lady is Sarah Grace, which is very much she is working a lot with sexual abuse, women that comes from heavy sexual abuse from childhood and so on. So trauma therapy and the nervous system regulation. And
are they always traumas that these people are aware of and know where they've come from? Or is it just a general feeling of something's not right and I want to reset?
Well, you can literally say like this. We all have traumas.
Yeah.
No one is trauma-free. Sometimes it's a small trauma, maybe, but as a child, it created a pattern you have. It could be that your teacher said to you that you're not good enough, or you're stupid, or something like that, or can't you ever sit still, or you're lazy, or something like that. And that can actually create a trauma. So first of all, we have to just raise our hand and say, we all have trauma. Every single one of us. But a lot of it is our parents. And sometimes they couldn't help it. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It doesn't have to be abuse at all as such. But it can be never being heard. It was too busy in your household and you were way down the ladder to get attention. It could be that you were not told that you were loved. Maybe your parents weren't the sort of parents that said, I love you. Or they never said that you were good. Never being
hugged, or for example, small things.
And they did that from their own trauma. So we can't blame it on the parents. We have to leave that one to the side. So literally with this program is that we have put together, and then I'm all around the self-love and how we bring these units together. So we have created an amazing program to help actually release a lot of anxiety that people with trauma, i.e. all of us, and especially entrepreneurs, live with a lot of anxiety and a lot of either guilt or fear, right? And we have come up with an amazing program that actually help you become calmer inside so you can make wiser decisions and strengthening your brain so you don't get that severe overwhelm, which creates insomnia, for example, that I live with for all these years. It also creates, could we call it mind games, because you're so stuck in your head. You can't actually get out of your head. You're just mentally always overloaded in your head with thoughts and feelings and I should do this, I could do this, I would do this, and the should, would, could, as I call it, the syndrome. And it's just a life-changing program that we have put together.
I think when it comes to, mental health, a couple of things that I find really complicated with it are, the first thing is that you can't ever get away from it. Right, it's in your head. It's in your head. It's in your body. You can
get away from it.
No, you can when you get help, right? Or when you
consciously say, I don't want this anymore.
But when you're in it and you're having these feelings, it goes everywhere with you, right? It's there when you wake up. It's there when you're at work.
Yeah.
It's there when you go to bed.
And a lot of people go the route of medicine and so on.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. For most other things, if you have just a partner who's super depressing or negative, or if you've got a boss who's just a real dickhead.
Yeah, when you're around a lot of energy.
You can leave that energy. You can make a conscious choice. But when it's in your own head, it's there all the time. And I think that
eating
obviously,
you up.
As we know, when it gets severe enough, it gets to the point of obviously people, doing unthinkable things. But that is because you can't escape it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing that I find hard with it is that you don't always know why. Like you can be walking through the park, feeling very nice and happy. Maybe you just had a great day at work, or you come from a friend's birthday, and all of a sudden it's like whoosh. You just get this whoosh of, this anxiety just pulsing through your body. And it's like, whoa, and you just, like that, you just feel like you're going to die. And you're looking around. Believe me, I've had these situations a lot. And you don't know why. And you're like, why is that happening?
The heavy void as well.
Yeah.
In the stomach or in the chest area, or some people get panic attacks, which is more in the lung area and so on, right? It's hard.
So how do you get, we've spoken about this before, like I said, I go to Jess for a lot. She's an incredible mentor in so many ways. And I've gone to Jess and said, look, I'm really struggling. I'm this, I'm that, coming out of relationships, having panic attacks, whatever. And I've said to you, I know I need to fix this. I know I need to work on it. But in today's world, and again, one of the negative side effects of social media and this immediate access to all of this information is like, where do you go? Because this person says that person says this.
Yeah, well, that's like the property world. It's exactly the same, right?
So in the end, you go, oh, screw it. I'm not going to do anything because I don't know where to begin. So what would your personal kind of advice be on where to start? Obviously, you're very educated in this. This is your life for you.
And it has been for years.
Yeah, you've got this incredibly regimented process in the mornings with your meditations, and you sit and you it comes second nature to you. But for most people that are rushing around and they're in it.
Yeah, but I have to remember, I was also the rushing around before, right? And even during. Yeah. Right? I didn't stop the rushing around until last year. So even when I was in the awareness and the consciousness of how to heal, I still did the rushing around. I still did the racehorse. Right? So
it's like it's almost like two personalities almost.
Yes, and I would also say that none of us are perfect. Whoever sits there and think that they are a guru and that they have all the answers, no one has your answers. Only you in your own heart have your answer. So there is no perfection. It doesn't exist. Perfection is something we just made up. And we're striving towards perfection, but perfection doesn't exist, because you know as well as me, suddenly when you start something and you have done a project or something, you realize, what they taught you, for example, in the property scenario that's not actually the truth. It's glamorized. Or you might do a design project and you realize you have to solve a lot of things that you didn't think you had to solve, but you still have to solve them. So you realize there was no perfection there either. And it's the same in life. We can't strive for perfection because it doesn't exist. What we can do is to feel good enough inside and therefore let go and say, that is good enough. Right?
And do you think that, something that can help massively with that is just little tangible steps, like each day, but being consistent with it, and doing it every single day and not expecting for miracles to happen overnight. Because I personally dipped in and out of meditation more times than I can remember. I've told you before, I'll download the Headspace app. I'll do it for 5 days and I'm still sitting there. I'm like, shit, just stop thinking about that. Stop. And and all this stuff. And I'd say to you, Jess, I just can't do it. And you're like, no, that is exactly what it's meant to be. There's no specific way that you're meant to meditate.
There is no perfection in it.
It's just
also that mind chatter that you have, that's the overwhelm. So that's what we're working on with the retreats, for example, or the program that we're doing, because that is your mind chatter. It's your overload in the frontal cortex, right? The front brain, that is just taking over. But it doesn't matter, because when you sit with meditation, after about a month and a half, that actually, it doesn't stop, but it doesn't become so dominant. Yeah. So it actually does change. Your brain changes and how you utilize it when you meditate. But what I would say to the viewers is to really, really, in the beginning especially, do a journal. Show gratitude to yourself and to the world and to how you live and so on. Even if you don't have that much money, you have so many things to be grateful for. Gratitude is a huge one. And watch your own language. How you speak about yourself, how you speak about others, and what you keep on talking about every single day. Make notes and decide consciously decide for a week, or start with a day, if that's easier. I am not going to badmouth anyone. I'm not going to badmouth myself. I'm not going to bully myself what I am not doing right. I'm not going to allow myself to be should, would, could, which is guilt, which is living in depression. Guilt is depression, so that's living in the past. Or talking excessively about how you were before an episode, whatever that episode is. Oh, before this happened, I used to be like this. I used to be fit. I used to have great relationships. I used to when I was young, because all those stories is just stories. It's just living in the past, which creates depressive feelings in your body.
It's so hard to really wrap your head around that way of thinking and truly believe that there is nothing real about what happened before this second. Now that's gone, that's gone.
It's only your perception of your mind that created the memory that you store here.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. It doesn't exist.
It does not exist.
And nothing that's going to happen when I get home tonight is going to exist.
Yeah.
This second right now.
Exactly. And then this is in the past as well. So your feeling of today, your contentment of this will only be your perception, how you felt in your body, because this was pleasant. If I was rude, you would have been upset, and that would have been your memory of this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so that is very important to remember, that nothing is actually real. We are creating whatever we are feeling in our bodies. Whatever we store those memories is your own making.
But these are all little things that collectively go to a huge shift in your entire life.
Yeah, and forgiveness is another huge. I love Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness mantra. Just Google it, guys, or go on YouTube. There's loads. Repeat.
But even little things, if you're, I'm all about using examples and trying to connect, because one of my challenges with this stuff, it's so deep and it's so insightful, but I need to connect it to like things that are real in my life to kind of make sense of it. So I'm thinking, like, when you say about watch the things that you're kind of saying, for example, if you're down the pub with your friend and they're like, oh man, did you see what John did the other day, and what are this and what are that, if you turn around and you say, you know what, I'm not really interested in what John did. I'm interested in being here with you right now and having a good time. When you say stuff like that, that other person's like, whoa, it's almost like they're taken back. And that's something to really like admire in someone, when that other person's like, you know what, let's, he's not here, she's not here.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about right now.
Yeah,
What's going on with you?
Is this going to serve a higher purpose?
But that kind of stuff makes other people look at you in a different light.
Yeah,
like you're like a superpower.
Yeah,
little things like that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm known for being love, right? For pure love, that I ooze a lot of pure love. But pure love comes with a lot of brutal honesty, as you know, because our discussions are never like,
never.
Alex, no, it's like
there's no butterflies and unicorns in these conversations. It's very hard, straight talking.
Yeah, it is very much from love, but also if you want to come out of victimhood, we have to actually take responsibility. And I can't cotton wool that, because then I am part of the drama. Right?
Yeah, it's a completely upside down, different way of looking at things.
Yeah. So I can, with love, say to you that this is on you, Alex. You're creating what you're having, or whoever it is I'm working with, right? And
Jess never, ever, ever, and this is the hard thing, ever gives me the opportunity to complain. Or to moan, or to be down or depressed or blame anybody else. She always picks up the mirror and goes,
yeah.
It's like,
I do. It's like, I'm not going to speak to her today because I need someone to just empathize with me. Yeah, that's not me.
But it works, right? Look, we all need someone who says, look, I'll listen, vent as much as you want. I'll be your sounding board. That's nice too. But it doesn't really help. What does help is someone being brutally honest and saying, you're choosing to accept this shit. You're choosing to continue in this toxic relationship. Right? So we all need people like that.
Yeah.
Jess, as we start getting towards the end here, I just want to dig a little bit deeper into exactly where you are right now and how this neuroscience project that you're involved in is evolving, where you are today, what's coming in the next few months, how people can get involved, right? Let's dig a bit deeper into that for the last few minutes.
Which is funny that you're saying evolve, because that's actually the name.
Must be my great neuro brain working overtime.
So what we have done is like Winfried Dorr is a very well-known person in America and also in the UK for his neuroscience studies that he's done for 22 years. So a lot of data. The part of the program that we have put together is the Sing Performance, which is his company. And that's 22 years of studies, and there's 50,000 people that have used the program. So a lot of data, how it works and so on. It was catered for kids before, but we have sort of come out of only for children. We're still working a lot with kids, and we are actually creating for the future, in about a year's time, we'll have an app for young offenders to be able to use in various different councils. We want to work with children in schools. We're trying to get it to become a curriculum, actually, at school, where we including self-love and very quick meditations, breath work and stuff like that. It's not woo-woo. It's not a spiritual program.
It's tangible, actually, physical
it's
things.
Very much, it's science-based, but it's with love. So it's actually combining my spiritual teachings, or can we call it educational properties of self-love and so on, but from a very tangible side. And then with Sarah's nervous system regulation and how you deal with emotions and how you can actually get out of living in your emotion and actually see it flowing through your body, and you just sort of you become one with who you are without having to live in drama. So this whole combination that we put together is life-changing. It's truly is transformative. So we've had our first retreat / program, because it's a 30-day program with a 4-day retreat included in that. We started it back in February. We're having our next one now in June 21st to the 24th is the actual retreat. I believe the actual program starts on the 7th of June. Yeah, okay. 2 weeks before.
So outside of that physical retreat, is it like an online based program for the rest of the time, or?
No, we will have. So we are in early stages. So we just put the program together in December. We had our first retreat in February 10th.
Was that here in the UK?
Yeah, in the UK, in Warwickshire, outside Leamington Spa. So a very nice setting, and that's what we're having the next one as well. We're going international, but also what we are going to create with all this, we're going to have online programs too coming up. You know, we need some time. We're building as quickly as we can, but it's such a new venture. So for now, we have the live events, in-person events, combined with 3 or 4 sessions online as well. So we're over-delivering big time at the moment to get it right. But the first retreat we had was amazing. And
I saw some of the clips.
We had over 50% change within the time frame of people's stress level. 50% had dropped in just that.
Are these changes highlighted through like a physical...
We do brain scans, we do brain scans so we can show the changes and so on as well. So it's tangible. Everything is tangible. We're keeping all the data. We're updating the data constantly. Even the way we will measure it for the next retreat is different. So we get more data. So it's all science-based.
Unbelievable. Sounds incredible. So how do people find out about this? Is there like a website? Do they contact you directly?
Yeah, so contact me directly for now. Jessica Olsen Zabel is on, so I'm massive Facebook user.
We'll put all of Jess's info in the show notes. So if you're interested in this, which sounds amazing, definitely.
Website is done in about 3 weeks' time, so it's still in the process. And we also have LinkedIn will have a business page very, very soon. It's in the making as well. So it's all happening at the moment.
Watch this space.
It is big time. Watch. This will be, I'm not kidding you, this will be enormous. The aim, so again, I have big ambitions, is 10 million people. I want to reach 10 million people with what we're doing to create more happy people on this planet, people that are feeling worthy of love and they have love inside and dare to be themselves, because it's all about vulnerability in the end of the day. We all want love.
Yeah.
And I'm all about love. This whole program is about love in the end of the day. It's changing the structure in your brain and removing trauma triggers from childhood to actually for you to be able to unfold in the most beautiful way as a human being.
It sounds amazing, Jess, and I'm definitely going to check that out. And I would implore anyone to go and check that out and contact Jess after the show. Jess, we got to wrap up here. We're doing my best to get everything into this episode, but I just want to ask you if you could, silly question, but ask you to be vulnerable just for a minute. You spend your whole life being vulnerable, but a lot of people don't, so I have to ask. Mental health, again, coming back to it, such an important topic, so important, such a big part of everybody's life. Mm-hmm. It's easy listening to this episode, watching the video of successful people who are, doing all this incredible stuff to pedestalize people and say, well, it's okay for them. They obviously don't have the challenges I do. We know where you've come from. We know the dark places you've been in. We know the physical things that you've experienced, which, is just amazing to where you are today. But right now, today, with what you're doing and where you are this very second, Jess, are you happy? Is the question.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I am super happy. And
all the time?
No, I'm not always happy, but it depends on what you mean. Am I joyful? Am I content? Am I in the right place? Am I moving forward, or am I feeling like I'm fulfilled? Am I trapped in my body? No. Happiness is within you. Happiness doesn't come from you having everything you dream of. It comes from you living every day with joy.
Well, if that doesn't put you in the right mood, then nothing will. True words. Happiness comes from within. It's not about who you're with or what you have, materialistic things. Yeah. Once you find that within, then everything else, it just complements that. So
yeah, that's it. And it also comes to you.
Yeah.
Because when you feel fulfilled, it comes to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about chasing finding the right girlfriend or boyfriend, or you don't reflect on your partner being wrong in your relationship, or you don't reflect on, I was a heavy perfectionist before, right? Because that was my trauma, trapped, right? I had to have perfection around me and so on, because that's how I felt like, I can control this. Suddenly all that can you can still like tidiness, but you don't have to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not trapped anymore.
Wise words, guys. Take all that on board. Listen to every single part of this and then go back and listen to it again, because there's so much stuff in there that's so necessary in order to live a happy life. Jess, I love you so much. You are such an amazing friend. And
I love you. I love you.
I've missed you and can't wait to spend more time with you after this. Guys, contact Jess. All of her information's in the show notes. Get involved with her new program. It's going to change your life and help you to become the best person that you can in every single part of your life. Thank you so much for coming in. Absolutely fantastic episode. Thank you. I love you so much. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching at home.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on the Airbnb Nomads podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in.